last several weeks, there's been a kind of a thread that has been consistent through the sermons of the last several weeks. And that thread, as I seem to perceive it, is the thread of encouraging one another to be persistent. Persistence in our walk, persistence in our faith. Because we are so often tempted to despair and to be overwhelmed with the frustrations of delayed responses from God in the situations that we may be dealing with in our daily lives. The two passages of Scripture that are presented to us today seem to continue in that same thread. The Habakkuk passage and the gospel lesson. We have two characters that are in the stance, in the posture of waiting and watching. We have in the Old Testament prophecy, the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk lived in a time, and we probably could see similarities in today, with rampant corruption and violence. And in his angst and in his anxiousness and frustration, he balled his fist up at God and said, "How long is this going to last? Everywhere around me is all of this wickedness and evil and wrongdoing, and people are suffering. And God, where are you? What's the deal?" And the passage allows us this wonderful image of him positioning him like a watchman on the wall. And it says, I'm gonna get up on the city wall, and I'm gonna watch and see and wait for. I'm just gonna stay right here, and I'm gonna wait and watch, because you will answer my complaint. There's a kind of belligerence. There's a kind of a determination, and he is clear. I'm gonna just be right here, because I ain't taking it no more. I need to know, God, if you're going to do something about this situation. How many times have you and I been in those situations and in those contexts in our heart where sickness has come, or financial distress has hit us, or something is going on with a family member or a loved one, and we're asking God, fix this, rescue us, resolve this, bring peace to this scenario, whatever's unfolding before us. In the gospel lesson, we have the famous and wonderful character Zacchaeus, the person that was vertically challenged. And he had heard of the renowned Jesus, heard of this miracle worker, this powerful preacher that was going throughout the countryside, healing and blessing. And the text is clear. It says he's rich, he was a tax collector, and he, in being the station that he was in, he had kind of become desensitized to everybody hating him. He was so used to rejection and knowing that people didn't want to have anything to do with him because he's the bad guy. You're the tax collector. And you have a whole arsenal of people that work under you that get out of us. So we don't want to have anything to do with you. And so here this person is still intrigued by this Jesus. And he, being a person of short stature, probably got tired of looking at people's backsides, and he wanted to see this Jesus. And he climbs up in the sycamore tree, and he positions himself so that he can see. Again, like Habakkuk, here is a person that is watching in hope, waiting in anticipation for news, for something better. I got to believe that we all have to be able to empathize with the feeling of waiting and watching in hope. Why would we even endeavor to watch for something if we didn't have the hope of something better? All of us in our hearts and in our minds, I've got to believe that whatever our current situation is, whatever we're dealing with in the present, in our hearts we always hope that things can move up, can improve. We've got to believe that. Because otherwise we would resign ourselves to despair and depression and discouragement. Nina, how long have you been waiting for that grant report? I mean, she has been for months and months, well, really all year, technically, right? Yeah. And you never know, is it even going to come through? So Habakkuk gets on his rampart, and he watches and he waits. And the answer comes. And the text says to us, "Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, that the runner may read it." That's a pretty interesting image. That's a pretty, yeah,
Biblical
yeah.
billboard.
Yeah, a biblical billboard. There is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay. The righteous shall live by faith. The power of persistence, my brothers and sisters, is what we are being asked to embrace and to hold on to not give up. The Habakkuk writes to us, if it seems to tarry. Ouch, Habakkuk. It's taking too long. God, you're taking too long. 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes, now last week. If it seems slow, if it seems to tarry, wait for it. And I'm reminded of so many of the Psalms. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Because that's Isaiah. These passages are speaking to us, saying don't give up, don't lose heart. Hang in there. And live each day by faith. I'm looking at the scenario, the story here, the account of Zacchaeus as he's up in this tree, and I can't help to allegorize it a bit. Forgive me. I look at him having become desensitized to rejection, and everybody hates me, nobody likes me. I'm going to do what I got to do. But yet, somehow or other, he saw in Jesus hope for betterment for his life. And so he climbed up into that tree. And I can't help but wonder, how many times do you and I climb up into a tree, or maybe crawl into a cave? Where in our current status of heart and mind and psyche and spirit, we're knowing that things can be better, but it's for others and it's maybe not for me. Aloof, separate, disconnected, looking at that which might be better, but it's way far away. Oftentimes, people push us away. we're rejected. And then sometimes we pull ourselves away, like crawling into that cave in shame and fear and in despair. And we have to still hang on to that hope. The joy that's coming from today's message, the exciting point that's coming from today's message is that in a startling breach of etiquette, Jesus says, Zacchaeus, come down. I'm going to have dinner and I'm going to stay at your house. Ed, I'm coming to your house for supper tonight. I'm going to spend the night. Who does that? Somebody come up to you and go like, excuse me, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to eat up your food and I'm going to hang out with you. This breach of etiquette. I mean, you don't do that. But that's the kind of God we have in Jesus. In spite of our being up in our trees or deep in our caves where we're separated and there's these distances, whether it's self-inflicted or other-inflicted, Jesus has a way of throwing out convention and saying, I'm coming to where you are. I'm going to step into your sphere. The walls that you've built around you, I can come right through them. Oftentimes, in Jesus' time, well, and now, you can be guilty by association. And so the text is clear that when Jesus said that to Zacchaeus, saying, I'm coming to your house, right after that, what does it say? Everybody stood around and started to begin to grumble. He's hanging out with one of them. But Jesus didn't care. Rather than worrying about what folk think, like some of us do, he's saying, I want to be with that person that is the outcast. I choose to be with that person that everybody else dejects and rejects, because I see the salvation and the beauty and the gifts in them. So rather than worrying about being labeled if he hangs out with sinners, he must be one. And Jesus is saying, I really don't care what y'all say. I see and I love and I accept. When you sup with someone, when you sit with someone, you are saying to them, I accept you. It's beyond I tolerate you. It's I accept you. I love you. I want to be with you. I want us to be one together. How many times in our own faith journeys, in our stories, were we in those places of dejection and rejection? And Jesus said to us, welcome. Come to the table and dine. Whosoever will, let them come. You who thought that you were outcast are welcome. Boy, my brain, oops, y'all forgive me, my brain just jumped to something right now. At the potential hypocrisy. How can we rejoice in how Christ has welcomed and called us down from our trees, or called us out from our caves and out from our tombs, and we rejoice and are so glad at Christ's acceptance and love and welcoming of us. And then somebody else comes in the door and we go like, oh, we don't want them in here. Ow. Oh, that's just straight up hypocrisy, right? How can we be glad that we were welcomed, and then when someone else of a different ilk or a different persuasion or a questionable lifestyle that we might not accept. And then we're going to turn around and be one of the grumblers at Jesus. How come you're letting them in? Uh-oh. It's okay now that I'm in. And so, this watching and waiting in hope is an opportunity for us to claim some joy. Joy that we have a Christ that is so accepting and loving and forgiving and welcoming. And then we as partners with Christ now have the opportunity to perpetuate that kind of welcoming. Anybody and everybody that comes through our door, should we not embrace old, young, black, white, Republican, Democrat? Yeah, I went there. Because we Zacchaeus, are loved and accepted and forgiven. Zacchaeus' response to Jesus' call, Lord, look, half my possessions I give to the poor, and if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house. The name Zacchaeus in Hebrew means salvation. The innocent one is saved. We Zacchaeus can claim that acceptance of Christ. That is our joy. Would you please pray?